Hello again, Struck Club. The launch of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is approaching fast, and I will keep making short video type content that will be dedicated to some of the things of the game that you and others might be interested about. So buckle up, this one will be about the guns, and I hope you enjoyed. Let's go. Guns. This is probably the thing that was the most definitive thing about Borderlands as a franchise. The amounts of guns and the vast diversity, pardon me, and the immense customization one can do by trying to get those perfect stats and combining them with the perfect stats on another item and just to have that that gun synergizing with the rest of your gear. And yeah, Tiny Tina's Wonderland seems like it won't be any different. Danger lurks around every corner, so take heed, noble warrior, and arm thyself with a big old boomstick. Spellcasting and melee combat are all well and good, but when your back's against the wall, you can always count on guns. Shooting and looting are the essence of the Borderlands franchise, and in this regard also in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So one can understand why it's crucial that we get to know the high-powered weaponry we'll be working with. There are millions of different guns, just like in a Borderlands game, the Wonderlands game does not disappoint, as each one is randomly assembled from a huge assortment of parts and components with their own properties. But keep in mind there's a rerolling system, which I talked about in my previous video, where I talked about endgame. But yeah, all those guns belong to one of 6 basic categories, corresponding to the 6 types of ammunition found across the environments. And those are pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, and heavy weapons. Let's talk about those first and then move on to the different manufacturers you could expect. So first, as we mentioned, pistols. If you've got good aim and steady hand, pistols can take you far. These trusty sidearms are great for practicing clutch headshots and picking off a rank and file targets from close to mid-range. So similar to pistols in Borderlands, the Borderlands franchise, that's what you could expect. There will be revolver type pistols, probably low ammo in the magazine in terms of ammo count, but high damage. There would be probably ones that split off the projectile and hit others if you hit a crit slash headshot. There's probably gonna be automatic ones, but yeah, pistols, we can't have that game without them. Next is the SMGs, submachine guns, if you like the full name. So pepper nearby attackers with a barrage of hot lead using SMGs and their high rate of fire. Eliminating tougher enemies will quickly chew through your ammo supply, so try to make every bullet count. I've always been a fan of SMGs, and the Borderlands franchise has been very nice to us when it comes to the interesting types of unique legendary SMGs that they've designed. So hopefully in the Wonderlands one there will be plenty of those. Definitely liking fire rate, and yeah, good to know SMGs are a thing as well. Next is the assault rifles. I mean, we can't have a game without your trusty AR. Whittle the opposition down using the solid, sustained damage of assault rifles. These versatile tools of destruction are effective at just about any range, provided you keep an eye on how many bullets are left in your magazine. And assault rifles, there's so many different types of assault rifles in the Borderlands games. There are ones with less ammo, there's ones with more ammo, ones with faster fire rate, slower fire rate, and based on those things the damage also scales to balance things out. There's ones with explosive bullets, but more about that later when we talk about the different manufacturers. But yeah, you'll be surprised about some of the things when we talk about manufacturers, but assault rifles, I mean, it won't be this game without them. Next we have shotguns. Oh, I love me a melee build that also synergizes with shotgun damage. If you like your fights up close and personal, as I mentioned, I enjoy a close and personal build. Shotguns are ideal for blasting nearby baddies. Their wide bullet spread makes them less effective from a distance, but they pack one hell of a punch in close quarters. In Borderlands 3 there was even a shotgun that scaled off of melee damage. I wonder if something like that will be making a comeback in the Wonderlands game. And next, you probably guessed it, sniper rifles. I mean, if you're talking rifles, everyone wants to have something from afar to snipe and hit headshots. Eliminate key targets before they even see you coming with sniper rifles. Every long-range hunter's weapon of choice. Granted, zoomed-in scope shots aren't ideal when a charging skeleton is swinging a sword right in your face, but this is where other things come handy. So yeah, it won't be Tiny Tina's Wonderlands if sniper rifles don't make a comeback. And speaking of comebacks, there's one more type of weaponry that we need to talk about. Let's move on to them. The heavy weapons. I mean, Borderlands as a franchise has been defined by some amazing heavy weapons when it comes to some of the builds, the top builds we've had back in the day. And yeah, it won't feel like a Borderlands spin-off if we don't have some nice heavy weaponry at our disposal. In fact, most modern shooter games need some heavy weapons, some BFGs. So make quick work of enemy hordes with the powerful splash damage of heavy weapons. Just make sure you don't miss the few shots you get, because reloading is going to take a while. This is for those like me that are not that great at aiming, and even hitting the ground next to your enemy would result in an explosion of a sword, and it will make a lot of damage. But yeah, reload time stacking usually helps with heavy weapons, because those reload times sometimes are painful. As you grow stronger during your journey, you unlock 3 additional weapon slots, so you will turn your Fate Maker into a walking arsenal. Some guns will have added elemental damage types, more about that in a different video, that will further enhance their effectiveness, or alternate firing modes that expand their capabilities. There's also a gun's rarity as a good indicator of how far you might be able to take it in terms of DPS, and how far in the story you can take it before you need to replace it, and so on. So yeah, precious legendary guns have the best damage, stat buffs and combat effects, but some builds obviously will require a certain effect of an epic item, or maybe, who knows, maybe a rare. So yeah, it's generally a good idea to carry a variety of guns in order to balance your supplies of the 6 ammo types, and so that you have something to deal with different types of enemies, considering especially the resistances. So yeah, hearing that click 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 on an empty magazine is definitely not nice in the heat of a boss fight. And something that has always been fun to talk about in Borderlands, and it will also be fun to talk about in the Wonderlands game, is the manufacturers. There are a few manufacturers, and we will talk a little bit about all of them. A distinguished group of mythical manufacturers produce the guns found across the Wonderlands, each with their own specialties and distinctive traits. Here's a general idea of what you can expect from each manufacturer's wares. Dahlia. Variety is the spice of life and death. Shoot out, so mix things up with the alternate firing modes of Dahlia guns. So it's kind of like Dao, but Dahlia. These have different behaviors based on the gun you've got. For example, full auto mode will let you hold the trigger to spray bullets hither and thither, but the staccato blasts of burst fire, my favorite mode normally, mean you have to keep squeezing the trigger if you want a continuous stream of fire. Then there's black powder. If you're a crack shot looking to aerate some skeleton skulls, pick yourself up a black powder gun. Critical hits will cause your bullets to ricochet, damaging a nearby enemy as a bonus, so kind of like the Jacobs of this game. Black powder pistols can also unload just as fast as you can pull the trigger, so get to squeezing. Ferior, that's probably the equivalent of Tedior. Don't settle for inferior weapons. With a small dose of polymorphing magic, Ferior guns can take on new forms as you fling them across the battlefield, like winged blasters and bouncing bombs. Moments later, they'll reappear in your hands, ready to unload all over again. And then there's Stalker. I'm assuming this is probably a reference to Bram Stoker, we'll see. With the absurdly high firing rate of Stoker guns, you quit worrying and surrender yourself to the steady stream of slaying. All that rapid fire chews through ammo in a hurry, so make sure you're well stocked before you gleefully hold down the trigger. And now something for those of you like me who are not that great at aiming and like to rely on explosions. Torque. He heard that you like explosions in your explosions, so he and his manufacturing team made sure that all Torque guns cause as much detonation and combustion as possible. Some can even shoot magical mines that stick to enemies before bursting into flames, leaving behind piles of smoldering ash. And now there is something called Skulldugger. Through some form of arcane trickery, Skulldugger guns never need to be reloaded, as they continuously regenerate their own ammo supply from the ether. But magic has its limits, so you can't fire forever. Eventually you'll need to lay off the trigger and let these cool off a bit, lest they overheat. So similar to like in Borderlands 3, that we had those weapons that instead of ammo just have heat and you need to manage the heat. That's this game's version of it. And Hyperius, probably that's the equivalent to Hyperion. Create some cover for yourself even when you're on the move with Hyperius guns, which project a magical shield out of thin air whenever you're aiming down sights. They'll also get increasingly more accurate the longer you fire, so unloading a clip in one continuous stream is a great idea. And that was it for the manufacturers. If you want to get notified when I upload more content about this game, for this game and other Wooter and not so Wooter games, you can subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on upload notifications. Also keep in mind there's something called memberships on my channel, which pretty much lets you pay a monthly fee which recurs and you can cancel at any time if you no longer want it, and that grants you access to exclusive perks such as emotes and badges made by me, as well as the option to ask me on Discord for one-on-one tutorials for the very basics of Adobe Premiere, Photoshop and After Effects. Thanks for watching all the way until the end, Struck Club. Remember to keep it cool and until next time, goodbye.